What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Stock Hustle channel with your boy William. As always, any subscriptions and likes are always 100% appreciated, as this channel is dedicated to providing financial education, not advice. Please keep that in mind. You should always do your own research and due diligence when you are choosing what investments you'd want to take part in or invest in directly with your own funds. But without further ado, let's get into it. So as I had mentioned to you guys a couple days ago, I had a bunch of requests on Twitter and IG for some investment questions in relation to a couple different tickers. Today's one we're going to feature is ANY, or Sphere 3D Corp. As you see from the chart here, this is essentially a 5-year look, giving you a representation of the stock. This stock essentially a couple months back was essentially a penny stock. However, now breaking past the $5 mark goes into a different category. To me, anything below $5 is considered a penny stock. But this play is a little interesting because it's from recent news that just came out, which we're going to touch base on. Looking at the last year, you see here, as I mentioned, it was consolidating down in this $1 to $3.72 channel that you see down here, essentially building there for the majority of the last year up until looks like late July, early August. It broke through and has recently been in this 557 to 873 channel, now getting above what I consider a penny stock, right? So what has made this stock move and what's going on? Well, let's take a look first at the indicators. Want you to first take note, we are currently in a buying period, this nice little run up. If you draw a trend line from the bottom of this green candle here that you see at the 557, it is respecting this trend on an upward trend, which is important to note because of the news that just came out. Now, so you are currently in a buying period. Your RSI is essentially sitting at 59, a little bit above neutral, and your ATR is giving you a 92-cent swing, or otherwise $1.84. For those of you that are interested in average true range, please keep that in mind. That kind of gives you a foundation for the fundamentals or basics of the ticker, right? And the candles. It's been consolidating in here for a good almost 2 months, to be honest. So it's good to see building a floor here. As always, anytime you want to see that out of a ticker, you want to see it shoot up, break into a new channel, consolidate, break out, go into this next channel, which would be this 873 to I don't know, somewhere in the 10s, 11s. It'll designate it as it rises up into the next channel, but you would want to see it break out, build another floor, and keep going. That's good growth that you want to see out of a stock, right? So what is anyway, right? So Sphere 3D Corp delivers vitalization technology and data management solutions. It operates in a segment which has provided data management and desktop application visualization solutions for small and medium businesses and distribution enterprises. So it's in the tech sector, right? Essentially, data management is pretty big. It's essentially not in its infancy. There are some major key players, but what's actually made this ticker recently break out was some information in relation to grabbing attention for Bitcoin mining. They have entered an agreement. I did already take the liberty of looking up the SEC filings. So you have this first one here, which was back on July 6th. Sphere 3D Corp entered a promissory note and securities agreement with Gryphon Digital Mining Incorporated. Essentially, they loaned them $2.7 million in exchange for the note-bearing interest of 9.5 annualized interest, right? On August 30th, the company entered an amendment, a promissory note security agreement pursuant to the company loan Gryphon another $3.6 million. So you take the 3.6 and the 2.7, and you're talking essentially about $6.3 million that were loaned, right? So this was the first story that broke back on July 6th, or the first filing, right? If you look back at the chart, back on July 6th, we are essentially here, July 6th, when this filing was filed, right? Ever since then, nothing really happened. It was just a company loaning another company money. No big deal, right? You might probably no one even probably knew about it, to be honest. Funny enough, I'll touch base on something I did find earlier, and keep in mind this July 6th date. But this was the first SEC filing, recent filings. The second one is this one. This is a landmark hosting agreement, will provide hosting capacity for up to 71,000 state-of-the-art Bitcoin mining machines, and furnishes the company with a world-class partner to host 60,000 Bitmain, and then the name product miner, whose purchase was previously announced by the company. So essentially, 3D Sphere is now entering agreement with Gryphon Secure to do Bitcoin mining. This was probably the biggest news, and this was filed on October 13th. If we go back to the chart, October 13th, I believe, is this one right here. So this candle that you see where it's opened the day at 7:07 and it ended the day essentially at 8:45. So 3 days ago is when this SEC filing came out. If you go in and look at some more additional news, well, before we go into the news, let's first take a look. Well, who the hell is Gryphon anyway, right? So if you go to Gryphon, they have a webpage, Gryphon Digital Mining. It goes on to tell you they are a vision in creating carbon neutral Bitcoin mining, right? So they're trying to make an efficient way to Bitcoin mine, right? If you remember with the news earlier in the year, Elon Musk stopped accepting Bitcoin for Teslas or for purchases of Teslas because he said it was not eco-friendly, right? They weren't green, right? So this company is targeting that specific area. If you go into their webpage, you go into this investor presentation, which I already did take the liberty of looking up. Again, they go on to announce that they have merged an agreement with Sphere 3D, ANY ticker, the one we're talking about, essentially for the purchase of machines to mine Bitcoin, right? Got a lot of really good information in here. I'll leave this in the description of my video below if you guys want to take a look at it and dig through it. Some of the important things that I specifically saw, again, 60,000 machines with deliveries commencing in November 2021, so next month. So as of next month, some of these machines are going to start being delivered. This is a 14-month agreement, so the completion of this agreement has to be completed within a year and 2 months from today's date. So keep that in mind. If you're looking at the management team, which is something I always like to look at as well to see who's running this company, I was very interested to see that Riot, former, I guess, leadership team from Riot is now working with Gryphon. You have people from Walt Disney and Netflix, another gentleman who used to work for Riot and Blue Voyant. Not sure who Blue Voyant is, to be honest. Another director from Walt Disney and Facebook, Google. So the leadership team has a lot of history, not only in Bitcoin mining, but in other different segments, which is always good to see who's leading a company that you're choosing to invest in. So this was a really positive sign for me specifically, right? That's something I definitely like to see, right? So it goes on to talk about like the market that they're in, what their projections are. The most interesting piece that I found in here was, number one, they mentioned this, right? Widespread acceptance of Bitcoin. So what they're trying to show you is that, look, we're early on in stages of Bitcoin and who's going to be accepting Bitcoin. Obviously, El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender was super critical because that's the first country in, right? And as more countries pile in, it's going to be a good push for Bitcoin, especially with it now breaking 60,000 as of last night per Bitcoin. That's another positive catalyst, right? You need to keep in mind. They talk about PayPal and Square, right? Things we already are aware of. One thing I wasn't aware of is that the state of Ohio began accepting Bitcoin for tax payments. I was not aware that Ohio was doing this, so that was good, pretty interesting to see. They give you the projection for JP Morgan, saying that Bitcoin could rise up to 146,000 per coin. Super interesting to see as well. Further information on Bitcoin. The other piece that I found good in this presentation for Gryphon was the target area that they're pursuing, or the market, right? What they're trying to grab. So if you go down here, right here, it says generating an indicative valuation of 278 million with a near-term pathway of 2,000 or 2.6 billion, right? So if you look, Mara, M-A-R-A ticker, right, is here. Riot is at 2284, right here. If you look where they're targeting specifically with the 60,000 machines in market that they're going to be doing, they're trying to capitalize here in between Mara and Riot. We've already reviewed HUD 8. If you watched that video, I'll leave it up on the top corner linked so you guys can see that one. This is a video I just recently did on HUD 8. So as you can see, they're looking for this second place position between Mara and Riot. That's where they're targeting. Especially being eco-friendly, it's going to have a positive vibe behind it as well, which a lot of people who may choose to invest in Bitcoin, like for example Elon Musk, he will definitely maybe potentially look at this company because they are eco-friendly, right, and being green, right? Again, operating cash flow, I'll leave this link below if you guys want to take a look at it. It definitely has a lot of interesting information. You will want to see if this is something you're interested in investing in specifically, right? So this is the SEC filings, and this is the intro to Gryphon, right? Specifically, I also wanted to take a look at who is holding ANY, right? So I went into the institutional ownership. As you see here in quarters 2, you see 2.69 million bought, no sells. Quarter 1, 0 and 0. As of last year, small buys, nothing major. But Going into here and looking at the most recent purchases that have been reported, what do we see? Citadel Advisors opening a position, going long on this play. Their partner or short buddy, as usual, has also gone long on this play. If we take a look at who's holding the most shares, remember I told you earlier about that July date? Well, check it out. That first SEC filing here was filed on July 6th. This owner reported buying 904,000 shares July 31st and was the only party reporting for the month of July, making this large of a purchase. So they did buy a huge stake. So to me, it seems like they might have known, right? Or that's what it could seem to believe, right? Cyrus Capital is the biggest holder currently. They have 3 positions all established, adding to their position. They've increased it 40.7% since opening it back on 2016 or February 2016. Right. As of 2017, though, they have not added to any of their position. As I mentioned, the most recent purchases for any were Citadel, LLP, and Subsequena. Right. Dapper Assessment Management also opened a position in early August. As of now, we have not gotten any reporting for this quarter. It'll be interesting to see, as the new quarter has started, what institutional ownership is going to be reported. If this does have a lot of hype behind it and a lot of momentum, you can definitely expect to see BlackRock and Vanguard jump in and take a stake in this, as they are always pretty big players with anything that has a lot of hype behind it. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Short interest, I did also take a quick peek at. It does have a pretty substantial short on it, 3.3 million shares short. But again, nothing major, no reporting as to who is shorting yet. So, and Nasdaq didn't also have any reporting short on it, but there is a short position on it. I did take a peek in Lucid Tracking to see who was short, to see if it would report it. There is no reporting on Lucid Tracking as well. And the last piece I always like to touch base on, guys, is unusual whales, because I like to give you guys an insight on the flow, because I know a lot of you guys are interested in option plays as well, not just going long. For me personally, based on the information that you see here, based on the target area they're pursuing, and based on the amount of money they're investing into this, I see it as a potential long hold, because Bitcoin is pretty hot. It's been hot for a while now. It's already broken the $60,000 per Bitcoin, so you got to keep that in the back of your mind. If it continues to do this run up like it does every year normally for Bitcoin, this potentially could have some momentum there. Now, please remember, this is an agreement for 14 months to be completed, so it's between now and a year and 2 months from now that this will be fully into effect, right? So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. But when we go and look at the options chain, what do we see right away? You see 14 million on call premium, 2.1 on put premium. So this is definitely more bullish than bearish. If you go through here, right, without any filters, you see nothing of my filters are on unusual whales. It just gives you a breakdown like that. If you want to see like what bigger players are doing, you can easily filter by 10,000, and you can see what people that are investing a minimum of $10,000 are doing. And again, we see it very bullish over bearish, right? Specifically, you can go down this list and you can see there is a lot of bullish sentiment on this specific play. Specifically, it looks like they're targeting the October 19th expiration at various strikes, right? It looks like they're trying to capitalize on the bigger deltas. As I always tell you guys, I have a preference of 0.50 delta or better. Looks like they are following that same pursuit. Looks like for the most part, I think the 0.43 is the lowest delta you see, or 0.23, excuse me. For the most part, you see the bigger deltas above 0.50, which is always a good sign to see too, right? You want to give yourself a better opportunity to be profitable. When you segment it this way and look at the pie charts, you see that it does have more bearish than bullish sentiment. However, please don't get that confused. We can easily take that specific filter off of 10,000. No filters again. Go look at the charts, and then we see this, right? So as I mentioned, the October 19, 2021 expiration is being targeted. When you look at the strikes, you see that the 8, the 10, and the 15 are probably the biggest. If I was a buyer of options, again, I have no stake in this position. I have no long, nothing, right? If I were to make a purchase into the options, I specifically would be targeting either this 9 or this 8. So you're looking at spending anywhere from 120 to 127. The fact that this spread is so close is good to me. I like to see things like that because it tells you when you see that paired with the bullish sentiment, there are a lot of players involved in this, and you can see from the volume and open interest that is in fact the case. If you look at the put side, it's not close to being comparable when you're looking versus the calls, right? But as far as the $8 strike, you're looking anywhere from 156 to 159. I would just be slap the ask, as they say, and just be a buyer at that point. If I do open a position, you will be the first to know, because I will post that on Twitter or my IG, which I do have a new IG now for the Stock Hustle channel. Please look at that in the About section on YouTube, and you can see the link and start following me there if you wish to. But I think this gives you a good rundown as information for the stock ANY. If you guys have any questions, leave it down in the comments below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, as that does help with the channel's growth. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.